The Velthari ship drifted through the cold darkness of space, its silver hull catching the light of distant stars. Captain Zyrax stood at the viewing window, her four eyes scanning the endless void with a mix of wonder and worry. The Velthari were a peaceful species. They had blue skin that shimmered like water in sunlight, long fingers perfect for building delicate machines, and minds that worked together in perfect harmony. For 10,000 years, they had lived in their corner of the galaxy, never bothering anyone and never being bothered. But things had changed. The Draken Empire was growing. These massive, reptilian creatures had decided that the entire universe belonged to them. They conquered world after world, taking whatever they wanted and destroying whatever they did not need. The Velthari had watched from far away. Hopping the Draken would never notice their small cluster of planets, but hope was a thin shield against such hunger. "Captain," said Melox, the ship's navigator, "there is something strange ahead, a small vessel. It does not match any design in our records." Zyrax turned all four of her eyes toward the screen. The ship was tiny, barely bigger than an escape pod. It tumbled slowly through space, clearly damaged. Burn marks covered its hull, and pieces of metal floated around it like dead leaves. "Life signs?" Zyrax asked. Melox checked his instruments twice before answering. "One, very faint, very small." "Bring it aboard." The crew worked quickly. They used gentle tractor beams to pull the damaged ship into their cargo bay. When Zyrax arrived with her medical team, they found the pod's door had been welded shut from the inside. Someone had been desperate to keep something out. It took them an hour to cut through the metal. When they finally opened the door, Zyrax gasped. Inside, wrapped in a dirty blanket, was a creature she had never seen before. It was small, with soft pink skin and a round face. It had only two eyes, both closed in sleep. Its tiny hands curled into fists, and its chest rose and fell with slow, steady breaths. "What is it?" whispered Dr. Threen, the ship's healer. "I do not know," Zyrax admitted, "but it is alive and it needs our help." They carried the small creature to the medical bay with extreme care. Dr. Threen ran every scan she could think of, her three hands moving over the instruments with practiced speed. "Remarkable," she said. "It is young, very young, equivalent to perhaps 3 or 4 cycles for our kind. It appears to be healthy, just tired and hungry. And Captain," she paused, looking at her readings again, "its body is incredibly adaptive. I have never seen anything like it. Its cells can adjust to almost any environment." The small creature stirred. Its eyes opened slowly, revealing 2 circles of bright blue. For a moment it just looked at them, taking in their strange faces with curious wonder. Then, instead of screaming or crying as Zyrax had expected, it smiled. It was the warmest, most genuine smile Zyrax had ever seen. "Hello, little one," she said softly, not knowing if it could understand her. "You are safe now." The creature reached out one small hand and wrapped its fingers around Zyrax's long blue thumb. Its grip was surprisingly strong. They found a recording device in the pod. It took Melox 3 days to decode the language, and what they learned broke Zyrax's heart. The recording showed a woman with the same soft skin and 2 eyes as the small creature. She was crying but trying to smile. Behind her, Zyrax could see fire and hear terrible sounds. "If anyone finds this," the woman said, "please take care of my son. His name is Marcus. He is only 3 years old. The Draken came to our world. They destroyed everything. I am putting him in this pod because it is the only chance he has. Please, whoever you are, whatever you are, please love him. He is a good boy. He is my whole world." The recording ended with the woman kissing the camera. Zyrax looked at the small creature, now named Marcus, who was playing with a ball of light that Dr. Threen had made for him. He laughed as it bounced around the room, chasing it with wobbly steps. "The Draken destroyed his entire species," Melox said quietly. "We searched. There are no other ships, no other survivors. He is the last one." No, Zyrex said firmly. He is not just the last one, he is the first one, the first human to be part of our family. The crew gathered that night for a ceremony. In Velthari culture, when someone joined a family, it was marked with the sharing of light. Each crew member held a small glowing stone, and one by one they touched their stones to Marcus's hands. We give you our light, they chanted together, our warmth, our protection. From this moment you are one of us. Marcus did not understand the words, but he understood the feeling. He clapped his tiny hands and giggled. In the weeks that followed, the crew learned that raising a human was unlike raising any Velthari child. Marcus had endless energy. He ran when he should walk, climbed when he should sit, and asked why about absolutely everything. Why is space black? He would ask. Why do you have 4 eyes? Why is food not purple? The crew answered every question with patience and love. They learned that humans needed more food than Velthari, needed more sleep, but also had more energy when awake. They learned that human skin was sensitive to temperature, so they adjusted the ship's systems to keep Marcus comfortable. But most importantly, they learned that humans had something special, something no other species in the known galaxy possessed. Humans refused to give up. When Marcus could not reach a shelf, he did not cry or ask for help. He stacked boxes until he could climb high enough. When a puzzle was too hard, he did not walk away. He worked on it for hours until he solved it. When he fell down, he got back up. Every single time. His mother was right, Dr. Threen said one evening as they watched Marcus finally catch the ball of light after chasing it all day. He is a good boy, perhaps the best I have ever known. Zyrax nodded, and we will keep him safe, no matter what comes. She did not know then that keeping Marcus safe would mean changing the entire universe. She did not know that this small, pink creature with his endless questions and stubborn spirit would one day stand against the Draken Empire itself. But she would learn. They all would. 10 years passed like stars streaming past a ship in faster-than-light travel. Marcus grew from a small, curious child into a young teenager who stood nearly as tall as most Velthari. His blue eyes had lost none of their brightness, and his smile could still light up any room on the ship. But he had changed in other ways too. Marcus had learned to fight. Captain Zyrax had resisted at first, believing that violence was never the answer. But after the third Draken attack on Velthari trading ships, she understood that survival sometimes required strength. "Teach me," Marcus had asked after watching footage of the attacks. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking with anger. "Teach me to protect our people." So they taught him, and they discovered something that changed everything. Humans were built for war. Not because they were cruel or violent by nature, but because their bodies could do things no other species could match. Marcus could run for hours without stopping. He could survive wounds that would kill a Velthari instantly. His reflexes were faster, his endurance was greater, and his ability to adapt to new situations was almost miraculous. "It makes sense," Dr. Threen explained to the crew after running more tests. Humans evolved on a death world. Their planet had extreme temperatures, dangerous predators, poisonous plants, and natural disasters. Everything on their world was trying to kill them, so they evolved to survive anything. "A death world?" Melox asked in horror. "They lived on a death world." "Not just lived," Threen continued. "They thrived. They became the dominant species on their planet. They conquered their world not through claws or fangs, but through intelligence, endurance, and an absolute refusal to accept defeat." Marcus listened to all of this from the doorway, his arms crossed over his chest. "I'm not a weapon," he said quietly. "I'm just Marcus. I'm Velthari." Zyrax walked over and placed her hand on his shoulder. "You are Velthari," she agreed. "You are our son, our brother, our family. But you are also human, and that means you carry the strength of your ancestors within you. That is not something to fear. It is something to honor. That night, Marcus looked at the recording of his birth mother for the first time in years. He had watched it so many times as a child that he knew every word by heart. But now, as a young man, he understood it differently. His mother had not just been crying because she was sad. She had been crying because she was brave. She had faced the destruction of everything she knew and still found the strength to save her son. She had refused to give up, even at the very end. "I understand now, Mom," Marcus whispered to the frozen image. "I understand what you gave me." The Draken attack came 3 weeks later. The Velthari colony on the moon of Veles 3 had only 5,000 people, most of them scientists and farmers. They had no army, no weapons, and no warning. The Draken fleet appeared from nowhere, their massive black ships blocking out the stars. Xyrax's ship was the only military vessel in the area. They were outgunned 10-1. "We cannot win this fight," Melox said, his voice heavy with despair. "Captain, if we engage, we will die, and then no one will be left to protect the colony." "If we do not engage, the colony will be destroyed anyway," Xyrax replied. "At least if we fight, we might buy them time to escape." "There is another option." Everyone turned to look at Marcus. He stood at the tactical display, studying the Draken formation with intense focus. "Their ships are arranged in a standard assault pattern," he said. "Heavy cruisers in the front, supply ships in the back. They are confident because they have never lost a battle against the Velthari. They are not expecting resistance, so they are not being careful." "What are you suggesting?" Xyrax asked. Marcus pointed to a gap in the formation. "There. A small, fast ship could slip through and reach the command vessel. If we destroy their leader, the fleet will fall into confusion. Draken society is based on hierarchy. Without their commander, they will not know what to do." "A small, fast ship," Melox repeated. "You mean the scout shuttle, the one-person scout shuttle?" "Yes." Xyrax grabbed Marcus by the shoulders. "Absolutely not. I will not send you on a suicide mission." "It is not suicide," Marcus said with a calm certainty that made her pause. "I have studied human military history. My ancestors did things like this all the time. They called it a commando raid. Small teams, high risk, high reward. And I am not asking for permission, Captain. I am telling you what I am going to do." "Marcus." "You found me drifting alone in space," Marcus continued. "You gave me a home, a family, a reason to live. Now it is my turn to give something back. Let me protect our people." The argument lasted 10 more minutes, but in the end, they all knew there was no other choice. Marcus was right. It was the only plan that had any chance of success. The scout shuttle was tiny, barely bigger than the escape pod that had carried Marcus across the galaxy 13 years ago. He strapped himself in and activated the engines. "Marcus," Xyrax's voice came through the communicator, thick with emotion. "Come back to us." "I will," he promised. "Humans are hard to kill, remember." Then he launched into the darkness. The Draken did not see him coming. Their sensors were focused on Xyrax's ship, which was making a lot of noise and pretending to prepare for battle. Marcus slipped through the gap in their formation like a whisper through silence. The command ship was enormous, a fortress of black metal covered in weapons. Marcus found a maintenance hatch on the underside, just as the intelligence reports had suggested. He docked his shuttle and forced the hatch open. Inside, the air was hot and thick. Draken preferred temperatures that would cook most other species alive. Marcus felt the sweat pour down his face, but his body adjusted, just as Dr. Threen had said it would. He moved through the corridors like a ghost. When guards appeared, he dealt with them quickly and quietly. Human soldiers had perfected the art of silent combat over thousands of years of warfare. Marcus had studied their techniques, and his body was built to execute them perfectly. The bridge was at the center of the ship, protected by a dozen elite warriors. Marcus did not try to sneak past them. Instead, he walked straight toward them, his hands raised. "I am Marcus of the Velthari," he announced. "I wish to speak with your commander." The Draken warriors laughed. They had never seen a human before, and this small, soft creature looked like nothing to fear. "A Velthari pet," one of them sneered. "How amusing! Bring it to the commander. Perhaps he will enjoy watching it beg for mercy." They grabbed Marcus roughly and dragged him onto the bridge. The Draken commander was massive, even by Draken standards. His scales were deep black, and his eyes glowed red with cruel intelligence. "What is this?" he demanded. "A gift from the Velthari," the guard said. "Some kind of pet, I think." The commander leaned forward, studying Marcus with interest. "Not Velthari, something else, something I have never seen before. What are you, creature?" Marcus smiled. It was the same warm, genuine smile he had given Zyrax on the day they met. But now there was something else behind it, something fierce. "I am human," he said, "and I am the last thing you will ever see." What happened next would become legend. Marcus moved faster than any of them could follow. He had hidden weapons in his clothes, in his boots, even in his hair. Within 30 seconds, every Draken on the bridge was down. Marcus stood over the fallen commander, breathing hard. He was bleeding from a dozen wounds, but he was still standing. "Tell your fleet to leave," he said, "or I will destroy this ship with everyone on it." The commander laughed, blood dripping from his mouth. "You are one creature. You cannot defeat an empire." "Watch me." Marcus transmitted a message to the entire Draken fleet, letting them see their defeated commander. He gave them 1 hour to retreat. They took 20 minutes. When Marcus returned to Zyrax's ship, the crew was waiting for him in the cargo bay. They stared at him in silence, taking in his torn clothes, his bloodied face, his exhausted but triumphant eyes. Then Zyrax stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him. "Welcome home, son," she whispered. The news of what Marcus had done spread across the galaxy like wildfire. A single human had defeated an entire Draken fleet. The impossible had happened. And suddenly, everyone wanted to know more about this species called humans. 5 years after the Battle of Veles III, Marcus stood on the observation deck of the Velthari Council Station. He was 23 years old now, taller than any Velthari and broader across the shoulders. His hair had grown long, tied back in a style that mixed human and Velthari traditions. But it was not his appearance that drew attention. It was his reputation. The human, they called him throughout the galaxy. Not a human, but the human, the only one, the legend. After Veles III, species from across the known universe had sent representatives to meet him. They wanted to understand how one creature could do what armies could not. They wanted to know if humans could help them fight the Draken too. Marcus had turned most of them away. He was not interested in being a weapon for hire, but he could not ignore the suffering he saw everywhere he looked. The Draken Empire continued to grow, conquering world after world. Billions of beings lived in fear. "You cannot save everyone," Captain Zyrax had told him. She was old now, her blue skin faded to a lighter shade, but her wisdom had only grown stronger. "No one can." "I know," Marcus had replied, "but I can try." The Velthari Council had summoned him today. He had been expecting the invitation for weeks. Word had spread that the Draken were planning something big, something that could end the resistance once and for all. The council chamber was a vast dome of crystal and light, designed to inspire feelings of peace and unity. 7 representatives from different species sat in a circle, with Marcus at the center. "Marcus of the Velthari," said High Counselor Vreen, a dignified elder with silver-blue skin, "we face a crisis unlike any before. The Draken have built a weapon. Our intelligence suggests it can destroy entire star systems." A murmur of fear rippled through the chamber. "They call it the Void Breaker," Vreen continued. "In 10 days, they plan to use it on the Shelari homeworld, 2 billion lives will be lost. Marcus had met the Shelari. They were small, gentle beings who communicated through music. They had never harmed anyone in their entire history. The thought of their destruction made his blood boil. "What do you need from me?" he asked. "We need more than just you," said Counselor Emreth, a representative of the Thrixian people. Thrixians were insects, their hard shells gleaming under the lights. "We need an army, but every time we try to unite our forces, the Draken crush us. They are too strong, too organized." "Because you fight like separate species," Marcus said. "You do not fight like a team." "We have tried to coordinate," Vreen said, "but our species are too different. Our tactics, our technologies, our ways of thinking. We cannot find common ground." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. He thought about Earth, the world he had never known. He thought about human history, which he had studied obsessively over the years. Humans had faced this same problem countless times. Different cultures, different languages, different beliefs, all trying to work together against a common enemy. And they had found a way. "I will train them," Marcus said. The council stared at him in confusion. "Your warriors, your soldiers, your fighters," he continued. "Send me the best from each species. Give me 1 month. I will turn them into a single unit that fights as one." 1 month? Emreth clicked in disbelief. Impossible. Cultural differences alone would take years to overcome. "Humans did it in weeks," Marcus said. "During our great wars, soldiers from dozens of nations learned to fight together. Not because they forgot their differences, but because they found something more important to focus on." "What?" "Each other." The council voted unanimously to accept his offer. Within 3 days, representatives from 12 species arrived at a remote training facility on an uninhabited moon. They were the best of the best, chosen warriors, pilots, engineers, and tacticians. And they hated each other. The first day was chaos. The Thrixians refused to take orders from non-insects. The Gorvani, a species of tall, muscular mammals, looked down on everyone smaller than them. The Phoenix, bird-like creatures with brilliant feathers, spent more time arguing about honor than training. Marcus watched it all with a calm expression. "This is a disaster," said Commander Trell, a Velthari officer assigned to assist Marcus. "They will never work together." "Not yet," Marcus agreed, "but they will." That night Marcus called everyone together. He did not give a speech about unity or cooperation. Instead, he told them a story. 13 years ago, he said, the Draken destroyed a world called Earth. Every human on that planet died except one. A 3-year-old boy who was put in an escape pod by his mother. She knew she would never see him again. She knew she was about to die, but she still found the strength to save him. The room was silent. That boy was found by the Velthari. They could have ignored him. They could have seen him as different as other, as not their problem, but they did not. They took him in. They raised him. They loved him. He looked around at the gathered warriors. "I am that boy. I am human, but I am also Velthari. I am proof that species do not have to be separated by their differences. We can choose to be family." A Gorvani warrior raised her hand. "But you are one person. How can we make an entire army into a family?" "By suffering together," Marcus said. "By bleeding together, by laughing together, by saving each other's lives until we cannot imagine living without each other. That is how humans did it. That is how we will do it." The training that followed was brutal. Marcus designed exercises that required different species to work together. A Thrixian could not complete the obstacle course without a Gorvani's strength. A Phoenix could not reach the objective without a Velthari's technical knowledge. Every task forced them to rely on each other. They complained, they argued, they nearly quit a dozen times. But slowly something changed. On day 10, a Thrixian named Chitter fell during a climbing exercise. Without hesitation, a Gorvani named Brock caught her before she could hit the ground. Thank you, Chitter said, her antenna twitching with surprise. We are a team, Brock replied simply. Teams protect each other. On day 15, a phoenix named Whisper was trapped in a simulated firefight. The Velthari and her squad, a quiet engineer named Delix, ran through enemy fire to carry her to safety. He was hit twice but did not stop. Why did you do that? Whisper asked in the medical bay. You could have died. My grandmother always said that courage is not the absence of fear, Delix replied. It is deciding that something else is more important. You are more important than my fear. By day 25, they had stopped seeing each other as different species. They were simply squad members, friends, family. Marcus stood before them on the final day of training. They were bruised, exhausted, and transformed. The Draken think they are unbeatable because they are united by fear, he said. Their soldiers fight because they are afraid of what will happen if they do not. But you, all of you are united by something stronger. What? Asked Chitter. Love, Marcus said simply. You fight for each other. You fight for the people next to you, and that will always be stronger than fear. They named themselves the United Legion. They adopted a symbol that Marcus designed, a circle containing 12 smaller circles, each representing a different species. Together, they made something whole. When news of the United Legion spread, something remarkable happened. Species that had been neutral in the war against the Draken began to join. They saw what Marcus had built and wanted to be part of it. Within weeks, the United Legion had grown from 50 warriors to 5,000. Within months, they numbered 50,000. Not because anyone forced them, but because they chose to stand together. The Draken Empire watched this with growing concern. They had never faced a truly united enemy before. They had always counted on the galaxy's divisions to keep it weak. But they had never encountered a human before. And they had never seen what happens when a human decides to build a family out of an entire galaxy. The Shelari homeworld hung in space like a blue jewel, its oceans covering most of its surface. From orbit, Marcus could see the great floating cities where billions of Shelari lived, their musical voices creating harmonies that could be heard from space. He would not let this world die. The United Legion fleet gathered at the edge of the system. 200 ships from 30 different species, all flying in perfect formation. It was the largest allied force in galactic history, but it was still smaller than the Draken Armada. The Void Breaker sat at the center of the enemy fleet, a massive sphere of black metal covered in weapons and shields. Intelligence reports suggested it took 3 days to charge for a single shot. They had less than 12 hours. The odds are not in our favor, Commander Trell said as they studied the tactical display. Even with our training, the Draken have us outnumbered 3-1, and if the Void Breaker fires... It will not fire, Marcus said. How can you be so sure? Marcus smiled, because I am going to destroy it. The plan was simple in concept but nearly impossible in execution. The United Legion would engage the Draken fleet, drawing their attention outward. Meanwhile, a small strike team would slip through the chaos and board the Void Breaker. Marcus had chosen his team personally. Chitter with her ability to hack any system, Brock, whose strength could break through any door, Whisper, the best pilot in the Legion, Delix, who could repair or sabotage any machine, and 12 others, each selected for their unique skills. They gathered in the hangar bay before the mission, standing in a circle around Marcus. This will be dangerous, Marcus said. Some of us may not come back. If anyone wants to stay behind, I understand. There is no shame in it. No one moved. We did not train for a month just to watch from the sidelines, Chitter said. We are a team. Where you go, we go. Besides, Brock added with a rumbling laugh, someone needs to watch your back. You humans are tough, but you are not invincible. Marcus felt a warmth in his chest that had nothing to do with his human biology. These people, These beings from a dozen different worlds had become his family, just like the Velthari who had raised him. "Thank you," he said, "all of you, now let us go save a world." The battle began with fire and thunder. The United Legion split into 3 groups, attacking the Draken fleet from different angles. The Draken responded with overwhelming force, their massive warships pouring destruction into space. But the Legion fought differently than anything the Draken had seen before. Ships from different species worked together seamlessly, covering each other's weaknesses and amplifying each other's strengths. A Thrixian fighter squad would draw enemy fire while Gorvani heavy cruisers delivered punishing blows. Phoenix scout ships provided real-time intelligence while Velthari engineers kept shields running at maximum power. "They are actually doing it," Commander Trell said in amazement from the flagship bridge. "They are holding the line." Meanwhile, Whisper piloted the strike team's shuttle through the chaos. She moved like water through fire, dodging weapons fire and debris with impossible skill. "Coming up on the Void Breaker," she announced. "I have found an access point, some kind of exhaust port on the surface." "Of course there is," Delix muttered. "Every superweapon has a weakness. It is almost a universal constant." "Less commentary, more action," Marcus said. "Take us in." The shuttle landed on the Void Breaker's surface, and the team poured out into the darkness. The weapon's interior was a maze of corridors and machinery, all designed to channel enough power to destroy a star system. Chitter connected to the ship's computer within seconds. "I have access. The weapon is almost fully charged. We have maybe 2 hours." "Then we have no time to waste," Marcus said. "Lead us to the power core." They moved through the Void Breaker like ghosts, avoiding patrols and security systems. Chitter's hacking kept doors open and alarms silent. Brock handled the guards they could not avoid, his massive fists silencing them before they could raise the alarm. The power core was located at the center of the weapon, a massive chamber filled with energy conduits and control systems, and it was heavily guarded. 50 Draken warriors, Whisper reported after a quick reconnaissance. "Elite troops, the best they have." 16 of us, 50 of them, Delix calculated. "Those odds are not good." "For them," Marcus said. The team looked at him with confusion. "The Draken have never faced the United Legion," Marcus explained. "They do not know what we can do. They do not understand that species working together are stronger than species fighting alone. Their 50 elite warriors are just 50 individuals. We are a family." He pulled out his weapons and checked them one final time. "Let us show them what family means." The fight for the power core was the most intense battle Marcus had ever experienced. The Draken elite were fast, strong, and ruthless. They had conquered 1,000 worlds and never lost. But they had never fought a human. Marcus moved through the battlefield like a force of nature. He had studied every martial art that humans had ever invented, adapting their techniques to fight against alien physiology. When a Draken swung at him, he was already moving. When they tried to grab him, he slipped away like water. And his team matched his ferocity. Chitter used her small size and speed to confuse larger opponents, striking at vulnerable joints and eyes. Brock waded through enemies like a living battering ram, his armor absorbing blows that would kill lesser beings. Whisper flew above the battle, raining down precision fire. Delix turned the Draken's own weapons against them. They protected each other. When a Draken got past Marcus's guard, Chitter was there to deflect the blow. When Brock was surrounded, Whisper provided covering fire. When Delix faced 3 opponents at once, the entire team converged to help. It was chaos, it was beautiful, it was family. When the last Draken fell, Marcus stood in the center of the power core, breathing hard. His team gathered around him, battered but alive. "Everyone okay?" he asked. "Define okay," Brock groaned. "I think I have 3 broken ribs, but yes, I will live." "Good," Chitter shut it down. Chitter's fingers flew over the control panels. I cannot deactivate it remotely. The only way to stop it is manual override at the main console, which is on the bridge. Where the Draken commander will be, Whisper said, with his personal guard. Then that is where we go, Marcus said. The bridge was at the top of the Void Breaker, a command center overlooking the entire weapon. When Marcus's team burst through the doors, they found exactly what they expected. Warlord Kresh stood at the center of the room, surrounded by his 20 best warriors. He was the largest Draken Marcus had ever seen, his scales so dark they absorbed light. His eyes burned with hatred. "The human," Kresh growled. "I have heard stories about you, the last of your kind raised by weaklings playing at being a soldier. And you must be the Draken who thought he could destroy a world full of innocent people," Marcus replied. "Funny how different our stories are. You cannot stop this weapon. It will fire in less than an hour. Even if you kill me, my fleet will complete the mission." "Your fleet is losing," Marcus said. "Check your screens." Kresh glanced at the tactical display, and his scales shifted in surprise. The Draken fleet was indeed in trouble. The United Legion had broken through their lines and was pushing them back. Ships that had never worked together before were now fighting as one perfect machine. "Impossible," Kresh hissed. "No alliance in galactic history has ever held together." "This is not an alliance," Marcus said. "This is a family, and families protect each other." The final battle was short and brutal. Marcus faced Kresh alone while his team dealt with the guards. The warlord was strong, incredibly strong, but he fought alone. Marcus fought with the knowledge that his team was watching his back, that his family was depending on him. In the end, Marcus stood over Kresh's defeated form, his weapon at the warlord's throat. "Deactivate the weapon," Marcus said. "Now." Kresh laughed, blood dripping from his mouth. "Even if I wanted to, I could not. Only the Emperor himself can override the Void Breaker." "Then we will have to do this the human way." Marcus turned to Delix. "Can you overload the power core, make the weapon destroy itself?" Delix studied the controls with rapid calculation. "Yes, but we would have to be very close to the core when it happens. The explosion would." "Kill anyone still on the ship," Marcus finished. "I know." His team looked at him with growing horror. "Marcus, no," Chitter said. "There has to be another way." "There is not. Get to the shuttle, get out of here. I will handle the rest." "We will not leave you," Brock said firmly. "You have to. The Shelari are depending on us. The whole galaxy is depending on us. Someone has to survive to tell the story, to keep the Legion together, to finish what we started." Tears streamed down Whisper's feathered face. "You cannot ask us to abandon our family." "I am not asking you to abandon family," Marcus said softly. "I am asking you to protect it. The Legion is bigger than me now. It always was. You do not need a human to hold it together. You just need each other." One by one, his team embraced him. Even Brock, whose species never showed affection, wrapped his massive arms around Marcus and wept. "Go," Marcus said. "That is an order." They went. Marcus stood alone in the power core of the Void Breaker. The machinery hummed around him, building toward the moment when it would release enough energy to destroy a star system. He thought about his mother, about the recording he had watched 1,000 times, about the love in her voice as she said goodbye. "I understand now," he said to the empty room. "I finally understand." His mother had not been afraid to die. She had been afraid of not mattering, of letting her son enter the universe without leaving something good behind. She had wanted her life to mean something. Marcus reached for the controls that would begin the overload sequence. His hands were steady. "Marcus, wait." Chitter's voice came through his communicator. She sounded out of breath, like she was running. "I thought I told you to leave," Marcus said. "You did, but I found something. In the Draken computer systems. A way to override the weapon remotely. I just need to get to a specific terminal. Where? The Emperor's flagship. The command codes are there. Marcus's heart sank. The flagship is at the center of the Draken fleet. There is no way to reach it. Actually, Whisper's voice joined the channel, there might be. The Draken flagship is pulling back. They are trying to retreat, but the Legion has them surrounded. If someone could get aboard. I am on my way back to the shuttle, Brock reported. I can pilot it through the fight. I have done crazier things. I can hack the flagship's security from here, Delix added. Give you a path to the Emperor. Marcus closed his eyes. His team had not abandoned him. They had found another way. Of course they had. That was what humans always did. That was what families always did. Everyone understands that this is probably a one-way trip, he said. We understand, Chitter replied. We also understand that we are not letting you die alone. If we go down together, as a family. Brock's shuttle was waiting outside the void breaker when Marcus climbed out through an emergency hatch. He barely had time to strap in before they were racing through space toward the Draken flagship. The battle around them was chaos. Ships exploded on all sides. Energy beams cut through the darkness. But Brock flew with a skill that Marcus had not known he possessed, threading through the destruction like a needle through fabric. The flagship's shields are down on the port side, Delix reported. There is a landing bay. I can keep it open for 30 seconds. That is all we need, Marcus said. They crashed into the landing bay with enough force to destroy the shuttle. Marcus rolled out of the wreckage along with his team, all of them battered but alive. This way, Chitter said, consulting her datapad. The Emperor's throne room is at the top of the ship. They fought their way through corridor after corridor. The Draken crew was in disarray, confused by the attack on their flagship and the collapse of their fleet. Most of them fled rather than fight. But the Emperor's guard did not flee. 100 Draken stood between Marcus and the throne room. They were the best warriors in the entire empire, trained from birth to kill. Marcus's team numbered 5. Well, Brock said, cracking his knuckles, this should be interesting. We just need to get Marcus to the throne room, Whisper said. We do not have to beat all of them. We just need to make a path. I can do that, Delix said. He pulled out a device that Marcus had never seen before. Sonic dispersal grenade. It will not kill them, but it will make them very disoriented for about 10 seconds. 10 seconds, Marcus repeated. That is enough. Delix threw the grenade. The world turned to screaming noise and confusion. Marcus ran. He moved faster than he had ever moved in his life. His human body pushed past limits that other species could not even imagine. Guards reached for him, but he was already past them. Weapons fired, but he was not where they aimed. The throne room doors were ahead. Marcus hit them at full speed, crashing through the metal like it was paper. Emperor Vraxis sat on a throne made of black crystal, watching Marcus with ancient, calculating eyes. He was smaller than Marcus had expected, older, his scales faded with age. But there was still power in him, the weight of an empire that had conquered half the galaxy. So, Vraxis said calmly, the human has finally come for me. I wondered how long it would take. Deactivate the void breaker, Marcus demanded. Your fleet is defeated. Your weapon is surrounded. There is no point in destroying the Shelari now. No point, Vraxis laughed. The point is to show the galaxy what happens when they defy us. Even in defeat, we will prove that resistance is meaningless. Resistance is never meaningless. Your species believed that too. Look where it got them. Marcus felt anger rising in his chest, but he pushed it down. Anger was a tool, not a master. My species is gone because you murdered them, but they taught me something before they died. They taught me that the measure of a person is not what they achieve, but what they inspire. Pretty words, they will not save you. I do not need words to save me. Marcus pulled out his communicator. "This is Marcus to the United Legion fleet. Fire all weapons on the Void Breaker. Destroy it." Vraxus's calm expression cracked. "What? No. If you destroy the weapon while it is charging, the explosion will take out half my fleet." "I know. But your ship is still out there, your people. They evacuated. I told them to. While you were busy trying to destroy the Shelari, we were busy saving our own." Vraxus stared at him in disbelief. "You planned this, all of it." "My species was known for planning, and for doing whatever it took to protect the people we love." Outside the viewport, the Void Breaker exploded. The blast wave rippled through the Draken fleet, destroying dozens of ships in seconds. The flagship shuddered, alarms blaring. Marcus stood over the Emperor as the ship began to fall apart around them. "It is over," he said. "Your empire is finished. Your weapon is gone, your fleet is scattered, you have lost." Vraxus looked at him with something that might have been respect. "And what now, human? Will you kill me, claim my throne?" "No, I am going to let you live, so you can watch as the galaxy rebuilds without you, so you can see what happens when people work together instead of fighting, so you can understand what you could have been if you had chosen a different path." Marcus's team burst through the throne room doors, having fought through the guards. "Time to go," Chitter said. "This ship is going down." They found an escape pod and launched just before the flagship broke apart. As they drifted through the debris field, Marcus looked back at the destruction. The Draken Empire, which had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, was broken. The Shelari homeworld was safe. 2 billion lives had been saved. And the United Legion had proven that the galaxy could stand together. A year later, Marcus stood before the newly formed Galactic Council. Representatives from over 200 species filled the chamber, their voices creating a harmony of different languages and sounds. "We have gathered here today," High Counselor Vreen announced, "to recognize the being who made this possible. Marcus of the Velthari, Marcus the Human, Marcus the Unifier." Marcus stepped forward, uncomfortable with the attention but understanding its importance. "I did not do this alone," he said. "Every being in this room played a part. Every species in the United Legion, every person who chose to stand with their neighbor instead of against them. The victory belongs to all of us." "Modest words," Vreen smiled, "from a species known for anything but modesty. The Council has decided to offer you a position. We want you to lead the new Galactic Defense Force, to protect the peace that we have built." Marcus considered the offer. He thought about his mother, who had wanted him to make something good in the universe. He thought about Captain Zyrax, who had given him a family when he had none. He thought about his team, who had become his brothers and sisters in everything but blood. "I accept," he said, "on one condition. The Defense Force will not be led by humans or Velthari or any single species. It will be led by all of us together, a council of equals, a family." The chamber erupted in applause. That night, Marcus stood on the observation deck of the council station, looking out at the stars. Zyrax found him there, her old blue hands wrapping around his arm. "Your mother would be proud," she said softly. "Both my mothers would be," Marcus replied, squeezing her hand. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the galaxy turn slowly around them. Somewhere out there, new threats would rise. New challenges would emerge. The work of building a peaceful universe would never truly be done. But for the first time in galactic history, the universe would face those challenges together. United not by fear or conquest, but by the simple human belief that family was more important than species, that love was stronger than hate, and that stubborn refusal to give up could change everything. The aliens had adopted a human puppy, and together they ruled the universe. Not as conquerors, as family.